Welcome to Astrophotography Japan. Very recently, I purchased yet another camera from ZWO, their newest smart camera design, the ASI585MC Air. This is ZWO's second integrated hardware system consisting of a cool deep sky imaging sensor, guide sensor, and ASI Air computer controller. My interest in this new camera comes from prior very positive experiences with the IMX585 sensor for deep sky imaging, and a desire to build the ultimate portable small astrophotography rig. As most of you may know, I occasionally travel by public transportation, trains and buses that is, to darker sky imaging sites, so minimizing equipment bulk and weight is critical for me. In Astrophotography Japan video episode number 55, released 2 months ago, I introduced my new FMA180 Pro astrograph lens from Askar. Obviously, my idea here was to combine the 180 Pro and the 585MC Air to complete that ultimate portable deep sky imaging rig. But I was not certain this was actually going to work. The 180 Pro specifications claim to have a projected image circle of 44 millimeters, which is capable of supporting a full-frame camera. To leverage the full potential of the 585MC Air unit, an image circle of around 36 millimeters is actually required. So on paper, this combination looked to be a good match. Considering I spent a lot of money on that camera, I hope the spec data was accurate. This slide shows the sensor details for the imaging and guide chips. The IMX585 is an 8.3 megapixel color sensor with smallish 2.9 micron pixels, a deep full well depth, and high quantum efficiency. The guide chip is a 2.5 megapixel monochrome sensor, also with high quantum efficiency. Inspecting the camera closely, you can see the arrangement of these two imaging chips. At first glance, it looks a little strange, doesn't it? It is especially true when you compare it to the other smart camera, the 2600MC Air. This is a slightly larger camera with an APS-C-sized sensor, of course. It certainly makes you wonder why the 585MC Air design is not like that shown here on the right. This configuration seems more logical and obvious. I can only speculate that the backside sensor hardware components have some asymmetric bulk along one axis and interfere with the positioning of these two sensors in a more logical and closely spaced fashion. When I use the 585MC Air camera, or the planetary version for that matter, I set the gain at 255 to minimize read noise and maximize dynamic range. And this is a Bayer matrix quantum efficiency profile of the camera, which shows a lot of sensitivity even in the infrared spectrum area. But interestingly, for some reason, ZWO has chosen to construct this camera with a sensor cover glass that blocks both UV and infrared. If we superimpose these two graphs, you can see that the 585MC Air sensor is capable of capturing light from 380 nanometers up to about 700 nanometers and no higher. This is different than the 585MC Pro and 585MC Planetary camera employing the same sensor. The others have an AR or anti-reflective coated glass cover, which does allow UV and IR light to freely pass. In fact, ZWO purposely hypes this enhanced sensitivity to IR light in their advertisements. Why the 585MC Air version with the same sensor has a different type of cover glass that blocks IR light is a mystery to me, but this is important information to know. In connecting the camera to the FMA180 lens, a typical backfocus of 55mm is required. But I initially had a little confusion because the ZWO website listed two numbers regarding the recess distance from the camera flange to the internal sensor. It listed 12.5 millimeters and 17.5 millimeters as being the recessed distance. Luckily, there was a mechanical diagram of the camera also on the website that explained this discrepancy. As you can see here, the true distance is actually 17.5 millimeters if you use the camera in its out-of-the-box configuration. Using a 21 millimeter filter drawer and a 16.5 millimeter spacer, the total comes to exactly 55 millimeters, which is how I set up this imaging rig. For your information, the total imaging OTA assembly shown here is only 1.6 kilograms, and that includes the filter drawer, a filter, and a lens cap on the FMA180 lens. Next, I want to show you the simplicity of this OTA and mount configuration, including the cabling. It is truly minimalistic. These photos were taken on the night of the imaging against my house back wall. It is the exact setup that I employed on that night. Firstly, 12-volt constant power was supplied via an AC to DC converter unit, which fed into the AM5 mount. And as you may know, there is a output 12-volt power port on the side of the AM5 mount. This output power is connected to the power input port of the 585MC Air unit. In addition, a USB data cable is connected from the 585MC Air unit to the AM5 mount for coordinated control of go-to and other star tracking mount functions. Here is a look at the back-end connections of the 585MC Air. Besides the power and the USB data connection, there is also a USB thumb drive that I used to collect the image data FITS files. But frankly, that is it. There is one cable bundle consisting of two wires from the mount to the camera unit, and that is everything required on this night. A dew heater was not necessary, by the way. Simple, super simple and compact. In case you did not see my previous video on the FMA180 Pro, its focuser is really outstanding. It is kind of midway between a coarse and fine movement mechanism. It is very easy to achieve a nearly perfect focus on the imaging sensor. But realize also this focus affects the guide chip as well. However, there is another mechanism to help fine-tune the guide chip focus if that is necessary, and that is the silver dial mechanism that you see on the camera. This presumably functions by sliding the guide chip a little closer or further from the front flange of the camera. As determined by Astronomy Tools' website, this OTA configuration has a resolution of about 3.3 arcseconds per pixel. Under OK seeing conditions, the resulting images are somewhat undersampled, but nevertheless impressive and beautiful in my opinion. In imaging mode, the field of view captured by this lens and camera combination is about 3.5 by 2 arc degrees of sky. Here is the setup in actual operation in my backyard of my home on the night of July 26th. For this equipment compatibility test, I selected a target in the Cygnus constellation, the North American nebula NGC 7000. At my 35-degree latitude in Yokohama, the target was at 47 degrees altitude in the east when I began my imaging at 9:59 p.m., just barely above my house rooftop. It transited the meridian at 1:47 a.m., and at 3:41 a.m., when I completed the session, the target was at 69 degrees altitude in the west. During the imaging rig setup, I had a video screen capture turned on because I wanted to show you the guide chip. In this video, I am attempting to fine-tune the focus of the guide chip using the small silver dial on the 585MC Air unit. Here you can see the entire field shows a deep sky star pattern. This confirms that the FMA180 Pro projected image circle is at least 36 millimeters in diameter because that is what is required to reach the outer edges of the guide chip in this camera design. I should note that guiding was being performed here on an image collected through the Optolong L-Extreme filter. I boosted the guide sensor gain setting a little to increase the star intensities, but there appeared to be no issues on the number or brightness of potential guide stars for the ASI Air software. It worked flawlessly. And once I got that set, I went into the guide chip calibration menu. Much to my surprise, after the calibration, the guiding statistics displayed remarkable low numbers, suspiciously lower than I ever saw before. So I went back to explore my guide camera control screen, and it was there that I noticed that I never set the guide sensor focal length. I simply assumed that the 585MC Air would know the guide sensor focal length was the same as the imaging sensor focal length. But I was wrong. You have to set them both, even though they are the exact same numbers. In this case, that is approximately 180 millimeters. After that, the guiding statistics were more aligned with real expectations. But in retrospect, I probably should have redone the calibration with the proper focal length value selected, just to be sure the calibration was done properly. Regardless, it seemed to work fine with an RMS error of 0.5 to 0.8 arc seconds. With both sensors focused and guiding configured and calibrated, I then programmed the imaging target into the Auto Settings menu. And shown here is the first light subframe of the North American Nebula. This is using the Optolong L-Extreme filter and a 300-second guided exposure under moonless Bortle class 7 to 8 skies in Yokohama. Imaging went smoothly that entire night, and I had pretty much zero concern about the meridian flip since the rig was so small and had only one cable bundle to connect up everything. From my Telescopius social media page, JPAstroGuy of course, here are the details of that imaging session. I created an integrated image from 10 minutes of UV-IR cut filter data and 5 hours of dual narrowband data. The North American Nebula, or NGC 7000, is located about 2,200 light-years away in the constellation of Cygnus. It is a rich hydrogen emission nebula region of around magnitude 4, so under very dark skies, it may even be faintly visible to the human eye. This image, my first taken with the ASI585MC Air and Askar FMA180 Pro, did not disappoint. The compatibility of this lens and smart camera design in an integrated imaging rig seems to be fantastic. All the ASI Air functions worked well. I also could notice no difference in the Wi-Fi range of this smart camera versus the ASI Air Pro, which I have been using routinely now for at least 2 years. Both easily reached from my backyard into my second floor office area in my home. I am planning to do a lot more with this compact imaging rig in the future, and I will even pair it with the smaller AM3 mount to reduce bulk further on some future travel excursions. If you had any uncertainties about these equipment being used together, hopefully those questions are now answered. And if you feel inclined, please let me know your opinion in the comments about the quality of the North American Nebula image I generated here. In Yokohama, Japan, I am JPAstroGuy. My name is Paul Cheesegel, and thank you, sincerely, for watching Astrophotography Japan.